Harper and HarperAudio present Swap, A Secret History of the New Cold War, by Drew Hinshaw and Joe Parkinson, read by Keith Brown. A note before we begin. Don't forget to download the accompanying enhancement PDF from your audiobook provider. It contains a cast of characters and a selected bibliography. To Celeste, Drew. To Hermione, Joe. Author's note. The following account is a work of reporting based on two secret but intertwined worlds: hostage negotiations and espionage. It is based on more than 100 interviews over 2 years with sources in Russia, the United States, Europe, the Middle East, and South America, as well as hundreds of primary documents including sealed court cases, classified government files, and birth, death, marriage, and maternity records, many of them doctored to obscure the truth. Prologue. In the early morning of August 1st, 2024, 6 government jets, each loaded with human cargo in countries thousands of miles apart, were navigating through feathery summer clouds toward the same rendezvous point, a cordoned-off section of an airport in Turkey. On the tarmac, protocol officers in black suits and sunglasses were nervously pacing, a heat haze lifting from the asphalt by the rising sun. Men in orange vests patrolled back and forth along the fenced perimeter of a normally bustling airport, now under lockdown. A solitary Turkish intelligence officer was watching them from the control tower, issuing directives to the aircraft over an encrypted line. None of them would receive clearance to land until their crews ticked off a checklist that included taking, then texting him photos of every passenger on board. There were to be no news cameras, no last-minute delays or adjustments to the flight manifests, and no guns. An elaborate east-west prisoner trade was underway, more complicated than any attempted during the darkest days of the Cold War. In the control tower, photos of the captives began pinging onto the officer's phone one by one as the planes transporting them approached Turkish airspace. 2 pictures showed the exhausted features of a married couple who had spent more than a decade building fake lives as an ordinary Argentine family until they were arrested in Slovenia for being deep-cover Russian spies. Across from them was their 8-year-old son, fiddling with a toy rocket, and his 11-year-old sister, quietly threading a beaded necklace, her Harry Potter sneakers barely touching the floor of a jet chartered by the Central Intelligence Agency. Weeks before the start of her 6th grade year, she and her brother were being moved like chess pieces in a game played in secret by global powers. And neither had any idea their parents were Russian or even knew their real names. A plane crossing the Black Sea sent confirmation that it was carrying the Spaniard, a bald and bearded journalist held in a Polish prison for slipping onto Ukrainian military bases and seducing the women his handlers deemed targets. In his mind, he was mentally rehearsing the firm, muscular handshake he would extend to his president. A 3rd jet, flying in from Norway, was transporting a researcher who had posed as a Brazilian academic to spy on Western military facilities in the Arctic. He had told police the forbidden detail he was never supposed to divulge, his real name, and nothing good could await him in Russia. A plane from Washington, its pilot directed by a CIA officer on board, was bringing a trio of men convicted of hacking and sanctions violations. A 5th jet from Germany was delivering the cargo President Vladimir Putin wanted most: a convicted assassin in shackles, a bulletproof vest, and a Kevlar helmet. 2 of Berlin's most senior officials were flying with him, men from law enforcement and diplomacy, given one last chance to ask this murderer how many of Russia's enemies had died at his hands. But he was absolutely silent. The largest plane was Putin's own, carrying 16 prisoners.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?